Swanson Pickle Company was started in the 1950s. My grandfather actually started it, and now I have 3 kids also involved besides my 2 brothers and my dad. And so my kids are 4th generation. We started originally as a buyer of pickles, gradually and always sorted them and sold them to the manufacturers, and then became a briner, and over time in the 60s is when we started growing pickles. We grow anywhere between 1,200 and 1,800 acres of machine harvest pickling cucumbers every year. We also buy pickles from growers throughout the state, buying probably another 3,000–4,000 acres each year. We grade the pickles into 8 different sizes, and then we brine them. Our brining capacity is over 1,250,000 bushels a year, and that's really where we hang our hat on as a briner and a grower. We ship very little fresh. We've chosen to go as the briner as our family business. We also grow field corn and soybeans as rotational crops, and we're standing in a 60-acre field today that happens to be a Seminus variety, Vlaspic, and we will harvest it, opening it up today and harvest it tomorrow. Approximately 54 days from planting to harvest on this field, which is a little bit longer than normal, but we've had a cool start this year. Downy mildew, you would think I would know the exact year. I can't tell you that for sure, but I think it's been about 8 years. I think we're in year 8. And the first year downy came, we didn't know what it was. We'd never seen it. My dad had grown pickles his whole life, and it had never hit Michigan before. It was the crop that we'd hear about southern growers telling us about, and we'd kind of shift our focus to something that we really cared about. I remember John Cates from North Carolina mentioning to me that once the downy hit the north, that's when it became a problem, because the rest of us never cared about it before. But that's not entirely true. But when it hit, we had no idea what to spray. We didn't know what we had at first. I think some of the chemicals we put on the first year was like putting water, which actually probably helped spread the disease. And at the time, since we knew it didn't overwinter, we thought that it was a one-year deal. It just happened to get in here, and we'd never see it again. Of course, June 30th of the second year, downy appears again in Michigan, usually starts in Monroe County. And since then, now we've come to realize that downy is here to stay. It changed the whole perspective of growing pickles in Michigan. Used to be a relatively safe crop to grow in Michigan. Cash flow was good, and all of a sudden with downy, it became a crop that people didn't want to grow anymore, only people that were totally committed to it. You're talking about sprays that are $30 an acre, and if you're spraying 3 to 4 times, it just changed the whole cost structure of the whole industry. I can't think of any one particular thing that changed us in my lifetime as downy did. So resistance or semi-resistance would be a big deal. It's all about dollars and attracting people that want to grow pickles, and so anything that we can get as a resistant seed, if we spray just 2 times instead of 4, would be a huge gain. At the end of the day, farmers equate it all to dollars, and they're going to, if the seed costs a little bit more, they're going to equate it to what it costs to spray. I do feel right now, relatively, the sprays keep it in control, but of course we worry about resistance to the sprays, so that's not even a given. So resistance, it's like the cucumber beetle. When we had the gene to no longer have to spray for the cucumber beetle, not only was it a cost savings, but it also created peace of mind and something that you didn't have to worry about. So keep going at it. Downy usually is worse as the season goes on. One of the things as a grower that we've done that doesn't always make economic sense is used to be we wanted to spread out our season, go into September, have less workers around. It just made everything easier. Now we've actually concised our season into trying to almost stay out of September. So that's actually cost us some money, but Last year when Downy came and we got it in September, it happened to turn cold and wet at the same time. And to me, simply put, is whenever you have the disease, if the plant creates new leaves faster than the disease kills it, you usually, I call it staying ahead of the disease. And of course, you're always spraying. And if you get cool, wet weather, the plant doesn't naturally produce leaves as fast as it would, and the disease actually flourishes in that kind of weather. So we went from staying ahead of the disease to going backwards. And we had actual fields that literally were 25 bushel to the acre yields at the end of last season. Never saw anything quite like that in my life. If we'd have known on September 1st what we knew on September 15th, we would have just dissed those fields up and quit, because we kept spraying, and it was economically just a disaster, and it all happened in 3 weeks. So the disease offers maybe that potential of that plant maybe getting it a little later in its life, or to a lesser degree. And of course, spraying less, that's an easy one to put on paper and say $30 if you spray 4 times, $120 if you spray twice, it's $60. But the other benefits of maybe being able to grow pickles safer in September, can't really put a price on that. And so we'll be able to manage our crop better if this truly works out, and I think we're going to find out this year. You know, one of the problems with the sprays of downy mildew is they seem to have developed some types of resistance, which is naturally going to occur. And so what works one year as spray may not work the next year. So that's you know, not only are you spending the money, you're never sure if it's going to work as well. So Michigan State, different places are doing a lot of work on the chemistries of the sprays, and they're doing trials all the time on seeing what sprays are most effective. But, you know, in a sense, if this disease is always evolving, we're kind of almost always a step behind the resistance. Not that they're not doing great work at Michigan State, and without them and Mary Hosbeck, we wouldn't be where we're at now. But I think she would tell you it's an uphill battle, and some type of seed resistance. And I know that theoretically we're supposed to have resistance already in downy mildew, but whatever strain we have or whatever, some type would have to help. I mean, it has to be a gain.